I'm here to clear my name.
The people Fruitland Police is now calling a suspect in the abduction of Michael Monkey Vaughn spoke to News 7 Investigates Morgan Romero. Fruitland's police chief told us for the first time Stacey Wondra is a suspect in the little boy's disappearance. His wife Sarah was previously charged with failure to report Michael's death, but that charge was dropped several months later, though she remains a suspect. Now, along with the Wondras, police labeled two men who lived with them, Adrian Lucien and Brandon Shirtliff, suspects who absolutely know what happened to Michael. 5 years old at the time, Michael disappeared from his Fruitland home on Southwest 9th Street on July 27, 2021. In November of 2022, we were there as crews searched and excavated the property where those four suspects lived, just a 2-minute drive from the Vaughn's home. Police said they had credible information from someone living in the Wondras' house that Michael's body was there. Human remains, dogs alerted, but ultimately Michael wasn't found. Police believe Michael was buried in the yard and then moved. Fruitland police sent probable cause to the Payette County prosecutor last summer to be presented to a grand jury. Police Chief J.D. Huff says a grand jury hasn't convened yet, but they will soon. Although that case centers around the Wondras and their roommates, Stacey tells us he knows nothing about Michael's abduction.
Stacey Wondra, S-T-A-C-E-Y.
It's been 2 months since Stacey Wondra was released from federal custody, convicted of a gun crime, unrelated to the disappearance of little Michael Vaughn.
And what have you been doing since?
I've been trying to live my life the best way I can.
Stacey agreed to interview with me to, quote, clear his name.
I have no reason to hide anything from anybody. I'm not that type of person. I'm an open book. You can ask me anything, and I will tell you an honest answer to it.
Were you involved in the disappearance of Michael Vaughn?
No.
Why do police think you were?
I have no idea.
Stacey thinks law enforcement's case may hinge on Adrian Lucien, one of the men living with Stacey and his wife at the time Michael disappeared. One of the men police are calling a suspect. Any clues or evidence that could point to that, from your knowledge?
No.
Okay.
I would never have thought Sarah or Brendan or Adrian would, maybe Adrian, but I wouldn't have thought Sarah or Brendan would have ever done something like this. I was not even home at the night of the disappearance. I know that at that nighttime, Sarah, Brandon, and I had left to CUNA to go recover his tow's vehicle.
Elaborate on that day a little bit more. You said you were working?
Yeah, so I did a taxi ride from Ontario to Boise. I know that I was gone a good portion of the day from like 1 p.m. in the afternoon to like about 4. Spent some time with a former coworker or boss that I used to work for. I think I spent maybe an hour and a half, and then had come back home. And the neighborhood was completely solitude. It was quiet.
Stacey claims he, Brandon, and Sarah left their house and headed to CUNA to tow Brandon's car around 5:30 to 6 p.m. on July 27, 2021. Brandon blew a spark plug and couldn't drive it, he says. Fruitland police believe Monkey went missing between 6:40 and 7 p.m. that night.
When we got back, I think about between 9 and 10 o'clock at night, we noticed there was an excessive amount of people out in the community walking around the neighborhood. We had stopped and asked what was going on, and they said that a boy had been abducted or been taken, and it was news to me. It was news to Sarah, what it seemed like, and Brandon. We got home, Brandon and Sarah decided they were going to go look for the boy, and I was in the process of getting the vehicle detached from the truck because it was taking up the whole length of the street pretty much.
Stacey later clarified to me he wasn't initially told Michael was abducted, just that he was missing. And where was Adrian that day?
Adrian and Brandon and Sarah all took a trip to Boise in the morning before I did my taxi ride. It was Adrian wanted to go see his kid.
He claims Adrian stayed in either Boise or Nampa all night.
Is that what they told you, or do you know that to be true for a fact?
I mean, that's just what I'm going based off of. I mean, I was told the same thing that's, all over. I wasn't with them.
Human cadaver dogs are highly reliable. Why did police tell you that human cadaver dogs pinged on your property at that home?
They didn't really give an explanation. They just said that the dogs had hit around the property. But, I mean, there was nothing. I don't even know how that's even feasible because like I said, I've never even heard of this kid. I've never seen this kid. Never knew anything about him.
Police said that they believe Michael's body was buried there and then moved. Can you think of any time that his body would have been buried there and then moved? Does anything stand out to you?
Not at all. They were saying that he was buried by the shed. Makes absolutely no sense. There's been no dig marks. There's no trench marks. There's nothing. The ground was a complete grassed area.
Could it have happened when you weren't around and it was potentially covered up?
It could have, very possibly. I just know that I wasn't around for any of it. I have no idea. I would like to know what happened to him.
They did say that they recovered several pieces of evidence at your home and on your property. Do you know what those pieces of evidence were?
Well, it's news to me.
The day after our interview,
He was playing with something.
Stacey gave a YouTuber a new piece of information.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to recollect as best as I can for you.
He, Brandon, and Sarah pulled over to put power steering fluid in his car right after they left for Kuna the day Michael was abducted. He says they saw a child playing by himself on the sidewalk down the street, around the corner from the Vaughn's home.
The kid that I saw did not depict Michael. I mean, he wasn't like a little kid, you know what I mean? Like he was, that's why I said it didn't concern me at all that he was out and about doing his thing.
Stacey says he doesn't know what's in the probable cause affidavit police sent to prosecutors. The one police say centers around him, Sarah, Adrian, and Brandon.
Do you think police have anything on you or your wife?
I personally know for a fact they don't have anything against me or on me. I have no knowledge. Again, I wasn't even home. I have no knowledge of who this little boy is, his whereabouts, or anything about him.
In his interview with the YouTuber, Stacey said his attorney told him he's no longer a person of interest in Michael's abduction. Chief Huff tells me that's not true. When I called Stacey's attorney to get a straight answer, his attorney told me, quote, "I have no comment at this time," and hung up. I also reached out to Michael's mom, Brandy Neal, to let her know about this interview airing. She was appreciative and said the most important thing in the world is to get Michael home.